All right, guys, back again with another video for you on this Sunday, almost noontime. All right, it's 11:53, March 16th. Welcome to another episode of Markets with Morning Joe, and I am your host, Joe Nasser. Well, I just did a video talking about the spiders, the Qs, the semiconductors, and Bitcoin. I forgot to talk about gold and silver, so I'm going to get into that, and then I'm going to get into some other charts on some other stocks. And I'm going to try to move quickly this time. All right, so let's start with gold. Gold actually broke into 3,000, making a new high, finally made its way up to 3,000. And honestly, I thought it was going to, it looked like it was going to break down lower, okay, for a little bit there. And I wasn't sure if it was going to come down into the $2,700 range before making a move higher, but it didn't. It went down to 28.47, went back up, consolidated a little bit for a few days, and then shot up to 3,000. And right now it's just hovering around that $3,000 range. So can it come back down? It wouldn't be unlikely if it dropped back down into the 29.50 area, maybe a little bit lower, but it's very likely that, now that it hit 3,000, it's going to attract a lot more new viewers and new investors and push it up. So if I were to measure from this low here, because this leg is the start of this move, this consolidation move higher, right? But if I measure from here, 25.95, so call it 2,600, up to this pivot high right here on this red bar. Let me change this to the arrow. All right, if I go from 2,600 to 29.69, so 29.70, so that's 370 points. 370 from this low here. All right, 28.50, let's call it 28.50. All right, 28.47, whatever, 28.50. So what did I say? 300 and how much was it? So 2,600 to 29. Okay, so 370 from here. Call it 29.20 plus 300, 32.20. So we could definitely see gold up to over 3,200. All right. I don't know if it's going to happen super fast or continue to take its time. Or we could see it come back, since it's at a major level. 3,000 is a big, even round number, even though it's broken above 3,000 technically. We could see it retrace from here back into, 29, 30, maybe even lower, and then make a move up to 3,200. That's all possible. You can see here, for example, when it hit 2,800, right? It came all the way down to 25.40 before making another move higher, right? So, markets don't always go up and down in a straight line, obviously. In fact, they never do. So we'll see what happens with gold. Gold is, I'm definitely bullish on gold, very much long term. We could see it hit $3,200 and maybe retrace back lower before it goes even higher. Well, let's talk about silver. Silver is getting close. It's always been a laggard to gold, but it's getting there, right? So it tagged $34 finally, but it hasn't made, it hasn't tagged the previous all-time high, not all-time high, but the previous high of 34.86. But I think that's coming, right? So silver is getting there. It's finally starting to catch momentum, but I expect this to go, let's say from 28, call it $29, 29 to 33. So that's $4 from here. All right, that's 31. So I expect it to go to 35. And then once it breaks 35, once it breaks above this high right here, it's going higher. Okay, so that's silver. Let's talk about NATGAS. NATGAS, all right, topped out last week right here, that one day overnight or wherever at 490. It was into a lot of resistance, as I mentioned in the previous videos, and it sold off. And as it sold off, technology, kind of had a comeback this past week, right? So if I were to just show you a comparison chart for NatGas on the daily. Let's go to the daily here, all right, and go to a chart of NVIDIA, for example, or even the Qs. I could do the Qs, but I'll do NVIDIA. Right, look what happened, right? So you see on this day, yeah. So Tuesday, no, Monday, all right, Monday it topped out, right? That's Monday, yeah, Monday was the high. And if I go to this chart here, Tuesday, Monday was not quite the low. It made a lower low on Tuesday, but it from basically from Monday on, it was a green day, right? So green, a little bit of a red day on Thursday, and then Friday it gapped up, right? So technology went up, and then if you look here, natural gas went down. Now, this is telling me that it's starting to consolidate here, but it's still trading above the moving averages. So I still expect this to continue to go higher. When will it go higher? I don't know. We'll see what happens in the markets this coming week. You can see NVIDIA, for example, is coming into a lot of resistance here. All right, all three moving averages. This is a lot of resistance. So there's going to be a lot of craziness this week between Options X and the Fed talk. So a lot of up and down movement in technology. I don't think NVIDIA is going to go any higher than 125, maybe 130. If it does, maybe it'll break higher to the upside. But it's going to take a lot of really good news overall in general. Meaning, the tariff talk has to come to an end and whatever. I don't know. There's going to have to be a lot of great news for markets to push higher. But I don't really see that happening. And I talked about that in the last video that I made, so you can watch that. I won't waste time talking about that again. All right. So I think, we can see technology move up a little bit, which will cause natural gas to probably come down a little bit lower. If I measured from here 490 down to 4, so that's 90 cents. Can we see this come back down 90 cents from 418, taking it down to 370? Possibly. Where's 370? Right here. So, right below this 50-day moving average. That's very likely. So if I go to a weekly chart, all right, this is an even bigger time frame, right? There's your 20-day moving average right around 350. You got a 200-day moving average here at 390. So, it's very well likely that natural gas can hover around here for a little bit, maybe dip a little bit lower, but I still think it's going to push higher to the upside. So that is my take on NatGas and, quite frankly, NVIDIA. So I don't expect NVIDIA to go too much higher to the upside. So we don't have to talk about NVIDIA anymore since we talked about that. I already talked about Bitcoin. My view on Bitcoin is, possibly, a little bit slightly higher to the upside, but not much. And then I expect it to make a leg lower. Let's talk about Tesla. Tesla put in a weekly bottoming tail. There was a lot of good news on Tesla this week. Everybody came out to support Tesla after the whole world is, not the whole world, but a lot of left wing are trying to sabotage Tesla and basically, they're attacking, Tesla owners and Tesla dealerships and Tesla vehicles and frankly, all kinds of havoc. So that obviously took a huge toll on Tesla, but it had a big comeback this week. But the question is, can it stay in this range and pull up higher to the upside? As much as I love Elon Musk and Tesla, I don't think, we could certainly see it move a little bit higher. There's a lot. I have this resistance line right here, this trend line at around 260. Can we get there? Possibly. Does it get higher to 285 or so? Maybe. That would take a really good week for markets in general. But overall, I think we're still going lower. I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla eventually makes its way back into the 160s. All right. And if you look at long term, I'm going to switch back to my cross here. If you look back long term, right, so it right here at 218-ish, it kind of filled the gap right here. There was a gap fill between October 24th here, and then this next right there. So that was, hold on, October 23rd, October 24th. So that filled the gap, but you know what? I just think this is going to probably fall further down and come into this zone right here. This is a big low. This is a big point right here. I think that's in August. Yeah, that was Friday. Oh, April of last year, right around 130. So I don't know if it'll get there. I mean, if things get really bad in the markets, I mean, anything's possible, but we'll see what happens. MicroStrategy moves with Bitcoin. It's got this wedge pattern. It broke above this trend line that I had, but it also broke above a couple of times here. But it's coming into resistance too, so it's possible. Like you see all this resistance right here. It's in a 50-day moving average. It's possible we can see MicroStrategy move its way higher, especially if Bitcoin goes up a little bit more. I don't think it's going to go. I mean, again, it's going to take a lot of very, very positive news to break above 320, or it could just fall from here. I mean, Bitcoin's already trading a little bit lower from Friday, and you can see here that MicroStrategy is trading now into this green bar right here, right at the low right there. So that's resistance right now, and all of this is resistance. So I don't think it's going to go higher. If it does, it's going to be short term and it's going to fall lower. We'll see. I mean, at some point maybe it'll shoot up if Bitcoin goes higher. Let's get into Microsoft. So I've been saying this for forever that I expected Microsoft to go lower from this high here at 468. So call it 470 down to this low 385. That's 85 points. If I measure from here, 456 minus 85, that takes it down to 370, right? So I expect at least a move down to 370. But now there's a bigger move that I noticed last week. And if you look, I've changed the pattern here. I actually had a different pattern, and I'll show you what I mean. So this is the pattern that I've been, oh no, I moved it. All right, never mind. So originally I had my trend line set differently, to show the wedge pattern, but now I'm looking at it and I see a head, I see shoulder, head, shoulder. All right, so there's a head and shoulder pattern here, and if this, I don't know, I don't know exactly if I have my trend line set exact. I've been kind of messing around with this, but you can see here that it closed on Friday above the neckline. This trend line that I have right here closed above. So that would invalidate the head and shoulder pattern, which means it won't take place. That head and shoulder pattern, if it actually takes place and it moves from, if I measure from here, 468, 468 down to this trend line right here, 389. So that's, let's call it 390, 68, 78 points. Well, let's call it 80 points round up, right? 80 points from this trend line, right? That would take it down to 307 approximately. 307, you're talking around here, these lows right here, okay? If the market continues to fall, if we have a panic in the markets, or if this really is a bear market now, then it could certainly go down. And I'm not only seeing the head and shoulder pattern in Microsoft, I'm seeing it in Apple. I'll get to that in a minute. But if you got Microsoft and Apple as well as NVIDIA all breaking down with all the other tech companies, then I don't see how this won't go there. All right. But again, I'm kind of trying to figure out this, if it has in fact invalidated, because if I mess around with this here, maybe bring this a little bit lower to there, but now it doesn't touch here, and I need it to touch there, right? So this is why I kind of needed it right there, and now maybe I can adjust it, because now this falls a little bit lower. So let me adjust it so that it's right there. But either way, it closed above this neckline. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I guess Microsoft is to be determined. But either way, it made its way down to 376. I really expected it to come down to 370. Maybe it'll get there. We'll see what happens. Google made its way down to 161. It looks like it wants to go lower, maybe down to 159 possibly. If I measure from here, 185 down to 165. That's 20 points. 20 points from here takes it down to 155, and 155 brings you down to this next level of support right here. But that's all to be determined depending on how this week goes. Can it come a little bit higher up to 169, maybe 173? It's very likely. It's possible, but there's a lot of resistance here. So we'll see what happens with the markets. I'm not going to talk about Amazon, but I expect Amazon to make a lower low, actually. Apple has head and shoulder pattern as well, right? So again, I was kind of talking about this before last week, and I was also trying to figure out where this correct neckline would be. So if I were to go with shoulder, head, let me see here for a second. Yeah, I think that would be it. So let me get rid of this. So if this were the first shoulder plus the head right here and then second shoulder, it's already broken below. It has not come back up. So Apple appears that it really could be a true head and shoulder. And if this continues to, take effect, you're going to see Apple fall from 260 down to say 220. So that's 40 points. 40 points below the neckline. Right here, it's 220. 40 points takes it down to 180, which breaks it down below this parallel channel that I have. Okay, and it 180 is somewhere in here, right? So if Apple drops down to 180, that would be quite considerate. You might have some support. You're gonna have some support around 196. 200 area right here. Obviously, it's gonna pause around here. Maybe it'll hold and then make a move higher and then come back down even further. But that's where I see that's what I see happening with Apple. I'm running out of time. Palantir. Okay, Palantir had a strong day on Friday, but it went into the 50-day moving average right here. 20 days coming down. You got your $250 approximately. I've got this trend line, long-term trend line support coming from August. So I think if Palantir gets lucky and it shoots up into the $90 range, I would say that's it. Probably, I don't think it's gonna go higher unless, again, really good news happens and it shoots up to 100 points. But I don't think so. I think it's near its top right now. Maybe it makes its way up a little bit and then comes back down into the 70, maybe mid 60s, right? For now. And then maybe it gets another bounce and then it falls further, assuming we are truly in a bear market. Meta double bottomed here. Okay, so it bottomed first on Monday, right around 587, and then it hit the bottom again on Thursday. All right, that low was 586, and then it gapped up. So that was a nice fake move because it looked like it was going to break below this trend line and go lower. I expect it to. I think Meta is showing signs of weakness along with everything else, but I don't expect Meta to go much higher. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Meta come down, into the 570 and then eventually 540. If I show the parallel channel that I have here, let me see, Meta. Yeah, so there's my parallel channel. This is basically from, let's go to a weekly. I had this from back in January. It's been trading within this channel, right? It broke out. This was ridiculous euphoria. I freaking couldn't stand it. And now it's right in the middle. And look at this week, right? Like, look at that narrow body right there, like that little cross with it, just all that. It had so much movement up and down, but it closed right around 609. This is going lower, in my opinion. Would not be surprised to see it trade at, eventually 560, 540. All right, guys, I'm running out of time. Thank you so much. I hope you like everything. Please like and subscribe if you haven't and share the info. Good luck to you all and have a great weekend. I might do another video after this with talking about financials. Take care.